Contestant number 7, Paul van der Vliet.
Council Chair, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Accidents happen and people are lost in accidents, and that is sad. But there are also quite a few people who are the results of accidents. And although my parents didn't ever tell me, I think that I was the result of an accident. My whole life, ladies and gentlemen, has been one big accident. I'm the type of person who leaves traces, who leaves marks behind me wherever I go. If I had a ladder on my shoulders, I'd knock everybody down with it. That's the type of person I am. So, you know, the traces I leave behind me are not impressive. They're actually pretty stupid, many times. And I came to terms, or understood, my real personality way back when I left university and took my first job. It was in a Swedish international steel trade company, and I was smart enough to understand very quickly that I knew absolutely nothing. And my boss wasn't too bright either, because he didn't understand that I understood nothing. So he entrusted me with a task. The company wanted to represent a German steel conglomerate. And the boss of that steel conglomerate was coming to Sweden, and he entrusted me and my newly wedded wife to give a dinner party for him and his wife. Me. Incredible. So they came and nothing happened. We were terrified. Nothing happened until the dinner. The lady, he was a baron and she was a baroness. So the baroness was sitting next to me. And my wife comes in serving sliced ham in a wonderful greasy sauce. And that was all in a glass platform with brims, standing on a wooden plate without brims. And underneath were my wife's hands. And if you've ever seen or heard about a ship load shifting, the glass plate started to move, and I was totally paralyzed. I couldn't move. I was terrified. I saw it happen. And in slow motion, I saw it turn around in the air and splash down on the Baroness' lap. Panic! Chairs fell over. The ladies rushed out. Screams. And there I was, with my executioner. This man was a guru, a god in the steel industry. I wasn't. So I thought, attack is the best defense. So I drowned him. I drowned him in wine. And me too. So for a little while, actually, we drank heavily, and things settled down. The ladies came back in, and the Baroness wore one of my wife's dresses, and everything settled down. Later that evening, ladies and gentlemen, we were having coffee and brandy, and we had a very interesting discussion. I tried to be impressive by taking a pose that is pretty impressive and holding my glass bowl with brandy in it, like this, and I put it down to make my point. So I put down my fist on the table, lifted up my glass again, leaned a bit backwards, and continued my point. But I hadn't realized that the foot of my glass was still standing on the table. Nobody else saw that either. So when I put down my glass, the thing started to roll. And it didn't just roll, it rolled in the wrong direction. So it was in the direction of the Baron. And it tilted over the edge and wedged his toes and his shoe. That was number 2, ladies and gentlemen. I was a dead man at that point. I thought I was almost giving up the whole thing. Now you ain't seen just nothing yet. In those days everybody smoked, so the room was filled with smoke. I had to go and open the window. You know, it was so full with smoke, so I had to let the smoke out before the air could get in. I opened the window and turned over. You must know that we had curtains with mesh and pretty wide stitches, and I had a jacket with buttons, so it got stuck. So I pulled the curtain over. The Baron and Baroness were sitting on the sofa. And not only did I pull the curtain over, but the whole bloody setup came down, and the right curtain fell on top of the Baron and Baroness. The god, the German god, was lying on my sofa, underneath my curtain, and I was supposed to get a contract. After a little while, I sort of started giggling. It was a little while, it was a few seconds, because I sort of uncovered them. They were giggling at me. Later that evening, of course, things settled down. There was a lot of laughs, and they left, and they shook both our hands and said this was absolut fantastisch. Sowas haben wir noch nie mitgemacht. So hope, we got hope. Maybe, after all, there was hope for me. But then, we looked down when we were leaving on the street to go to the taxi. We saw them walking arm in arm, shaking their heads. So I sank again. I thought there was no hope. My career was over, everything was over. 2 weeks later, came a letter saying how fantastic, this was the most fantastic business dinner this gentleman, the Baron, had ever been in. And together with this letter was a contract draft. So you see, my message, what do we learn from this? What I learned from this is never to be even oddly different. Never be afraid of being even oddly different to gain success. That is my message. And you know, if there was hope for me, there certainly must be hope for you.